Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Prime Minister, the Honourable Deputy Prime Ministers, the Honourable Leader of Opposition, Honourable Ministers and Assistant Ministers, Honourable Members of Parliament. I rise today to provide an update to this August House on the work of the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management in serving the citizens of our rural and remote areas across our beloved nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the last financial year, the Ministry's capital development project budget was increased to include the Rural and Outer Island, or the ROE development program, and the Rural Housing Assistance Program. These were for $2.5 million and $3 million respectively. Also, there was a budget of $0.5 million for the Seafarers Entrepreneurship Assistance Scheme. The existing programs of addressing access to clean water and sanitation, new pilot roads, footbridges and footpaths, and economic empowerment for our rural people were maintained. I'll deal first with the Rural and Outer Island Development Program, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, when we invest in infrastructure, it helps connect people with opportunities, promotes economic growth, and improves livelihoods. Through the allocation of a $2.5 million funding for the ROE program, in the 2023-2024 budget, the Ministry was able to implement a total of 50 projects across the country, focusing on three main sectors, including the agriculture, fisheries, and forestry sectors. Access to basic infrastructure is key to develop these sectors for farmers, markets, women, children, senior citizens, and those with special needs. The two focus areas of support that were provided for the agricultural sector in the last financial year included assistance intended for livestock farmers and the construction of rural farm access roads. The forestry sector is also supported under the program to strengthen the manufacturing of logs and mahogany waste, to enhance the key roles of wood carvers and those operating in processing timber to make household furniture. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm pleased to update the House about how the Ministry's ROE program has had an enormous impact. It has also helped to transform the lives of some of our rural communities across Fiji for the better. In the Northern Division, 75.5 kilometers of rural farm access roads were constructed, connecting the interior of Maduata and the Kaunaraga provinces. The road constructions, as I had mentioned during the reply to the Honourable Minister for Finance's budget address, the road constructions cut across three major different routes: the Kenrasese Road and the Anasasa to Vailaboni Road, and a connecting road to Numbusongo. And communities in these regions used to walk more than 10 kilometers to reach the main road for transportation. More than 77,000 people reside in these two rural provinces. In the Western Division, 16.9 kilometers of rural farm roads were constructed, covering the highlands of Mba, Inandala, Ratalevu, Nandrau, Natawa, Nabunitawa, and Nasaudoko. The main rural farm access roads constructed in the Rural Division were at Mau, Nakavika, and Wudandabo in the province of Namosi. For thousands and thousands of our rural Fijians, these investments are not just farm access roads, but a new lifeline and a path to a better future. In the Eastern Division, the construction of a rural farm access road focused on the island of Ovalau in the Lomaiviti group, with the infrastructural development spanning 5 kilometers, covering the communities of Nasomatua, Unibisau, and Navaloa. Mr. Speaker, sir, a key component of the ROE program is to promote and support value addition activities in the rural sector. This includes the provision of support for the processing of turmeric and ginger powder, cassava and dalo chips, and kava pounding machines in potential areas that have been identified. The procurement of 12 sets of food processing units is the initial step to provide equipment and resources to support value-adding economic activities in rural and outer islands. And this we do in cooperation with other ministries and government agencies, such as the cooperative department, Mr. Speaker, sir. To support the forestry component of the Royal Programme, 4 portable sawmills were procured through the approval of the Government Tender Board. Under the programme, the portable sawmill will support resource owners to log and process their own timber for rural housing and other value-adding processes. The provision of this equipment is expected to assist the Ministry of Forestry logging and milling programs in rural areas. The portable sawmills will also support the supply of materials and household furniture demanded by the growing rural households across the 4 divisions. The Ministry has noted an increasing demand for wood processing machines for value-adding activities, particularly from the islands of Kambara, Ongea, and Namuka in the Lau Group. These maritime islands are renowned for the supply of wood-made souvenirs to most souvenir retail outlets in Fiji, and this has been considered in this new financial year. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we continue to improve our ROI program, a new component of the program will be introduced in this new financial year. The new initiative includes the incubation of our ROI farmers and recipients for the next 3 to 5 years. This is crucial to ensure that government's rate of return on investments from these farm access roads and the provision of value-adding machineries are realized in the next 3 to 5 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, this incubation program will include the close monitoring of their production plan for the next 3 to 5 years and the facilitation of market access, training and awareness, especially on good governance, financial literacy, leadership, time management, and changing mindsets towards self-sufficiency. In order to measure the impact of the ROI program in the future, a baseline survey will be conducted in all our communities assisted under the program to ensure that the program objectives are realized as planned, particularly in the program contribution towards addressing rural poverty, improving living standards, and reducing rural-urban drift. Mr. Speaker, sir, given the ROI program's shift towards result-based development approach, some of our key development partners are now on board to support the ministry in this program, and this is encouraging to note. I'll now deal with the Rural Housing Assistance Scheme, Mr. Speaker, sir. The Rural Housing Assistance Program was reintroduced in the ministries last year through the coalition government. The ministry worked hard to get the necessary resources to deliver the expectations of the government for our people. Whilst the ministry is working on completing the recruitment of all personnel, we are pleased to note that the program has been able to assist our rural families have access to affordable and safe shelter, whether in the form of full house construction, house completion, or retrofitting. Mr. Speaker, in the last 12 months, over 160 applicants have been assisted. These were as follows: Central Division, 29 full houses constructed. There were 4 houses that needed completing and 4 that needed retrofitting. Eastern Division, 12 full houses constructed, and an additional 5 houses that needed completion. Northern Division, 23 full houses constructed, and Western Division, 12 full houses constructed, whilst 12 had applied for house completion and 54 had applied for retrofitting, and which were also completed. Mr. Speaker, sir, last month I had the opportunity to witness the commissioning of 4 newly constructed houses in the village of Nanduria in Rewa by the Honourable Prime Minister, the Minister for Public Works, and the Assistant Minister for Tokyo Affairs. These were houses that were initially destroyed in a massive fire in July 2023. It was immensely satisfying to personally witness the joy on the faces of the household members as they took ownership of their new dwellings. And as we continue to improve our rural housing assistance program, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's also important to note that the ministry recently completed a site visit to New Zealand to physically inspect some of the new models of designing rural housing that will not only improve our rural housing resiliency with regards to cyclone certification due to the quality of materials and construction techniques, but also address fire risks and the impact of termite infestation in the country. The ministry is also working closely with the Ministry of Housing and our development partners in improving our rural housing design. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry is also finalizing an MOA with the Fiji National Provident Fund and Sole FinTech in terms of supporting our rural dwellers to save and meet their one-third contribution for housing assistance. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are dedicated to ensuring that our people have access to resilient homes and feel safe in their environment. We are working on achieving targets associated with Sustainable Development Goal 11, access to sustainable communities. I'll now deal with high-risk water and sanitation, Mr. Speaker, sir. In aligning to our global commitment to Sustainable Development Goal 6 on achieving clean water and sanitation, the Ministry remains dedicated to addressing high-risk water and related infrastructure needs. We are grateful to the Ministry of Finance for allocating $1 million, an increase of $0.2 million in the last financial year to continue this initiative. Since the inception of the program in the 2021-2022 financial year, the Ministry has implemented more than 70 projects across our rural and maritime communities, totaling $1.3 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry has been installing ecological purification systems recently in various communities across the country as follows. Central Division, 3 villages. In the Eastern Division, 2 villages and 2 settlements, benefiting, in the Central Division, benefiting 872 people. In the Eastern Division, benefiting 1,047 people. Northern Division, 9 villages and 3 settlements, benefiting 690 members of the community. And Western Division, 15 villages, benefiting 676 people. And similarly, Mr. Speaker, sir, to assist in the reduction of occurrence of diseases and access to better hygiene, living conditions, the Ministry provided communities with better sanitation facilities in the following areas. Central Division, a village and 2 settlements. Eastern Division, 1 village benefiting 16 families. Northern Division, 2 villages and 1 settlement. And Western Division, 3 villages benefiting 12 families. Investment in rural infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, sir, as the government, we are responsible to make sure that our people are provided with good roads and necessary infrastructure, which will allow them access to so many other services to the world out there. With a budgetary allocation of $2 million, the Ministry utilizes this for our CAF program in terms of construction of new pilot access roads and the construction of footbridges and footpaths, where these are necessary to provide safe access for our rural people. For the recent financial year alone, the Ministry was able to complete a total of over 50 projects as follows. Central Division, 4 new access roads, 4 repairs and upgrading of existing roads, 11 footpaths and footbridges, which benefited 18 villages in 1 settlement with a combined population of 4,559 people. Eastern Division, a new access road, 1 repair and upgrade of existing roads, 6 footpaths and footbridges, which benefited 8 villages, with a combined population of 1,182 members of the community. Northern Division, 3 new access roads, 6 repairs and upgrading of existing roads, 1 footpath and footbridge. This benefited 5 villages and 5 settlements. In the Western Division, 2 new access roads, 10 repairs and upgrades of existing roads, 3 footpaths and footbridges, and 2 Irish crossings, which benefited 7 villages, 10 settlements, with a combined population of 6,350 members of the community. I'll now move on to the Seafaring Entrepreneurial Assistance Scheme, Mr. Speaker, sir. The financial year 2023-2024 was the first year that the Ministry was allocated a budget for this program. With $0.5 million allocated, the Ministry was able to assist 39 applicants across the 4 divisions. The Central Division, 5 boat and engines. 1 applicant applied only for a boat and 1 applied only for an engine. This is on the 1/3 to 1/3 scheme, Mr. Speaker, sir. Eastern Division, 6 boat and engines. 3 only applied for outboard engines. Northern Division, 5 boats and engines. 1 applied for a boat. 3 applied for only outboard engines. And Western Division, 8 boat and engines. And 1 applied only for a boat, and 4 applied only for outboard engines. In empowering rural communities, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry's self-help program is one that assists individuals or communities through a partnership arrangement of government, providing subsidies in the form of paying 2/3 of the project costs. In our first year in office, the Ministry has been able to assist over 50 communities across the country. The assistance was in the form of water projects, resource centers, and income-generating projects such as bread ovens, bread mixing equipment, etc. These projects achieve several multiple objectives under the Sustainable Development Goals, namely reduction in poverty, food security, access to clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, and decent work and economic growth, Mr. Speaker, sir. In the last 12 months, the Ministry was able to subsidize the following number of projects across the country. Central Division, 8 income-generating projects, 1 resource center, 1 community solar light project, 1 waiting shed, and 1 evacuation center retrofitting. This benefited 10 villages and 3 settlements with a combined population of 1,120. The Eastern Division, 7 income-generating projects, 7 water projects, and 2 evacuation centers, retrofitting projects. This benefited 10 villages and 1 settlement with a combined population of 1,475. Northern Division, 7 water projects, 3 income-generating projects, and 6 evacuation center retrofitting projects. This benefited 6 villages and 6 settlements with a combined population of 1,329. And Western Division, 12 water projects. This benefited 6 villages, 6 settlements with a combined population of 1,329. Resilient rural infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, sir, and as we continue to invest towards resilient rural infrastructure, the Ministry is also now working with the infrastructure and the WASH sectors to establish minimum standard designs that ensure sustainability and resilient rural infrastructure. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and Disaster Management is determined to achieve its aspirations for inclusive development for productive and resilient rural communities through an integrated manner. Thank you, Narsawali.